Nothing makes him yell. He is not demanding. Spielberg only observes and makes a decision. Plus, his decision is final once he makes it. Consider deciding on a vision to be the most challenging task facing a filmmaker. Understanding what you want is more important than understanding how to obtain it. Spielberg has rewritten history and built worlds for the cinematic medium for half a century, shaping its emotional language in the process, while helming the careers of more directors than anyone now living. But there is another thing lurking behind it all. The power to discover that one perfect actor, that one reliable voice, that game-changing performance. Resonance, not noise, is his medium of choice. A performance that grounds the mayhem in each of his films ensures that they will endure for centuries to come. In addition to casting actors, Spielberg also casts the film's gravitas presentation. Who provides it to him then? The task vanishes once the trust is filled. What remains is an idea that borders on myth. That place is disgusting. It isn't my forte. Making films that are completely unique from my previous work is something I really enjoy. Hundreds have passed through his studio, but only a select handful have made it into his lifelong circle of influence. Those who parted with all they had and received something far more valuable from him. Above all else, these 6 actors are Spielberg's top picks, atop the hoopla, and the reasons why their absence has never been filled. Tom Hanks, to top the list. A number of filmmakers cast actors. There is a Spielberg twin. Nobody just cast Tom Hanks. He was irreplaceable to Spielberg's filmography. Their relationship has been one of the most stable in contemporary Hollywood, spanning shows like The Post, Bridge of Spies, The Terminal, Catch Me If You Can, and Saving Private Ryan. Furthermore, friendship is not the foundation. The foundation is trust. According to Hanks, I don't ask what it is whenever Stephen calls. Respond affirmatively. That isn't flattery in the entertainment industry. There is a rule. Spielberg has relied on Hanks for nearly 25 years with his most sensitive subjects: history, moral gray areas, human frailty, and Hanks has never flubbed a word or displayed any ego. Spielberg allegedly only nodded or whispered directions while filming Saving Private Ryan. In that instant, he knew Hanks would discover the truth. According to Spielberg, it was like witnessing a journalistic lion enter the newsroom when Hanks stepped into the role of Ben Bradley in The Post. There is only the subtle reiteration of trust between them. There is no public proclamation or ceremony. They have basic, not spectacular chemistry. Instead than stealing scenes, Hanks grounds them. In doing so, he provides Spielberg with the emotional fuel his films require. Fire or mayhem could be unleashed by other players. Hannibal Lecter adds weight. Spielberg keeps coming back to the same place for a purpose. The things he is acquiring and safeguarding are crystal clear to him. It was never Hank's intention to wow Spielberg. Every time, he simply turned up, prepared and humble. Yes, that is the key: honesty, understanding, and command. Hanks provides Spielberg with the unseen elements that stabilize the frame. Plus, Spielberg, he will leave him a legacy. We are no longer collaborating, it's a combination of creative forces. As soon as they laid eyes on one another, it began and has never ended. Daniel Day-Lewis comes in at number 2. The casting of Daniel Day-Lewis as Abraham Lincoln wasn't a mere coincidence, according to Spielberg. An invocation. There was no audition for Day-Lewis. In the conventional sense, he did not practice. A change occurred within him. The moment Lincoln stepped foot on set, Spielberg was there standing before him. Just like the preacher remarked, "Once I start, I get too lazy to stop," when writing lengthy sermons. His gift of time travel was something Spielberg would later admit to receiving. I actually lost track of the fact that we were filming at times. With only tension, empathy, and breath, The performance was calm, exact, and careful. There were no bombastic speeches or theatrical grandstanding. For Spielberg, this was the part of a lifetime. Throughout the shoot, he maintained an open distance. No small talk, no using first names. It wasn't an act. He had to address Day-Lewis as Mr. President both on and off set. Day-Lewis had previously rejected Spielberg because of his renown for being picky. Actually, Spielberg had to work with him for a long time before he finally agreed. The outcome, however, was unique once he accomplished it. Among Spielberg's most lauded features, Lincoln stands out. Oscar went to Day-Lewis. Spielberg refrained from boasting, though. He claimed, "I didn't direct him," when asked about it in interviews. "I was there when he did it." Respect and trepidation coexist there. Spielberg usually doesn't let go, but he did so with Day-Lewis, due to the fact that certain performances necessitate room rather than instruction. Day-Lewis was never again in Spielberg's inner circle following Lincoln, not because of animosity, but because a storm never has two bolts of lightning. Spielberg has collaborated with numerous talented performers, but he has only ever worked with one who possessed the ability to bend time. The brief yet profound partnership altered Spielberg's perspective on character, pacing, and quiet. Just one film, one role, and one presidency. Daniel Day-Lewis was immediately elevated to Spielberg's inner circle after that. Third place goes to Harrison Ford. Indiana Jones is in a league of his own among actors. Spielberg, though, saw Harrison Ford as more than a mere persona. A partner who understood when to take charge and when to let the filmmaker take the lead. He was like a cinematic compass. Their alliance started with a tricorn hat, a whip, and a mischievous grin. Nevertheless, decades of subdued, purposeful devotion ensued. According to Spielberg, when Harrison steps into a room, his self-assurance takes on an air of mythology. Even if Spielberg saw something different in Ford, he was already Han Solo. Something more solid, rough but grounded, colossal yet relatable. Ford established himself as the prototypical contemporary action hero in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Bleeding and moaning, he rose to his feet again. The shooting was violent and the tempo unforgiving. However, Ford showed no fear. Spielberg remembered an incident from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade when Harrison Ford wanted to do an action sequence himself. "Trust alone, no duplicates. If I suffer an injury," he assured me, "you would know it was worthwhile." Harrison is like that. Longevity isn't the only thing that sets Ford apart. He remains silent. No, he doesn't run for office. Politics isn't his game. He just turns up, gets the job done, and then disappears. According to Spielberg, Ford guarantees him authenticity whenever he wants it. The man consistently delivers without holding back, whether it's through humor, sadness, or sheer physicality. Spielberg has stated that there is still only one actor he would cast as the lead in another adventure picture, despite the fact that they had collaborated on 4 Indiana Jones films. The point is not adaptability. Being present is key. Harrison Ford makes no attempt to walk away with the credit. The frame is he. For Spielberg, that level of dependability becomes part of his legacy. Fourthly, Leonardo DiCaprio. Spielberg didn't perceive Leonardo DiCaprio as a hunk when they first met. He beheld a pointed scalpel, surgical, restricted. In Catch Me If You Can, they made their collaborative debut. DiCaprio had recently stepped from the Titanic. He was viewed by the Globe as a youthful superstar. Spielberg noticed something different. Be careful. Timing. Calmness in the face of adversity. The involvement of a Secret Service was unexpected. Put it out of your mind. Spielberg has stated in interviews that he carries a clock within him. His timing is impeccable. He isn't wondering, he is taking off. The charisma wasn't what made that part work. The underlying desperation was what made it so. Played by Leonardo DiCaprio, Frank Abagnale was more than just a scam artist. What a perfect suit for a broken boy. Leonardo DiCaprio delivered on Spielberg's bold move. He was reshaped by the performance. No longer merely a leading man, but a performer in his own right. Spielberg was responsible for giving that turn a sense of merit. There was clean, instinctive teamwork rather than on-set conflict or second-guessing. Their relationship was calm and professional. Spielberg later expressed his astonishment with Leo's method, the way he puzzled people by asking probing questions and reading scenes like a map. And he never allowed the pressure of being the youngest crew member dampen his enthusiasm. The stars never seemed to align for any of the purportedly upcoming projects, including a Howard Hughes picture and a courtroom drama. Nonetheless, Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the few up-and-coming actors Spielberg consistently lauded. The actor's portrayal in The Revenant was so devastating that he expressed a desire to collaborate with Leo again in the near future. Leo is rare among performers, in that he can convey both devastation and tranquility through his eyes and voice. This is why Spielberg treats him like unresolved business while discussing his work. A flawless film with boundless possibilities. Even though they've only worked on one project together, their influence extends far beyond the credits. That even Spielberg, a legend in his own right, can be taken aback was demonstrated when Leonardo DiCaprio entered his orbit, a 5 from Meryl Streep. Directing Meryl Streep was a nearly 40-year wait for Steven Spielberg. After much deliberation, he did it as a tribute rather than a casting decision. She became involved in the position in 2017, towards the end of the project's rapid acceleration, to coincide with a political occasion. Even though she had won 3 Oscars before, Meryl Streep acted as if she had been practicing for this role her whole life. My father is no longer involved with this business. My husband's company is no more. This is my business. Spielberg had a quiet admiration for her before he saw her on set, but that all changed. Conducting a symphony with just one instrument is like directing Meryl, he remarked. She was natural. Her words were cut short. We timed every look. Each inhalation was necessary. The room was not dominated by Streep. She became one with it. In order to let her lead, Spielberg left her alone. Instead of speaking, silence is used. He had never before acknowledged feeling anxious while directing an actor. Even Meryl Streep admitted that Spielberg was hardly necessary as her director. The emotional weight was borne by his writing and the structure of the shots. On the other hand, Spielberg praised her restrained performance behind the camera. For The Post, Meryl Streep received her 21st Oscar nomination. However, Spielberg's subsequent comments about her were the more noteworthy part. He went beyond merely praising her. Cinema, not the picture, was what he referred to her as essential. Her presence was like that of Daniel Day-Lewis, he said, surgical, inward, and very human. The room is necessary for the vast majority of performers, he claimed. Meryl occupies the space. Spielberg has frequently stated that he would give up anything to work with her again, despite the fact that they only collaborated once. Repetition wasn't the foundation of their bond. Everything hinged on that one flawless, punctual moment. It was as simple as that. Singular film. Singular presence. The most acclaimed Hollywood filmmaker left, stating he will never forget the look in her eyes. Spielberg considers that an accolade beyond compare. It is everlasting. Robin Williams, number 6. Playing Peter Pan wasn't Robin Williams's only role. Once again, he restored Steven Spielberg's faith in him. Spielberg was experiencing one of his most emotionally taxing shoots ever when they collaborated on Hook. Emotionally draining, the production was bloated and behind schedule. Even Spielberg, who thrives when given strict instructions, felt helpless. Robin, too, he had noted. Spielberg claims that Williams would contact him nightly following filming, not to discuss the picture itself, but to make him laugh. If I was feeling down, he would pick up the phone and perform some improv for 15 minutes. Pure present, unburdened by ego or fatigue. Williams became both the film's and the man's emotional anchor. The film's outcome was disappointing, according to Spielberg's subsequent statements. It was untidy, sprawling, and excessively large. However, he did not carry the box office with him. Robin was the one. Williams brought an adult melancholy to Peter Pan's part, conveying the pain of a bygone youth and the burden of time. He made an impersonal fairy tale his own. After seeing that, Spielberg could never forget it. Hook was just the beginning of their lasting connection. Spielberg was so distraught by Robin's death that he postponed filming Schindler's List. When he departed, the room simply became darker, and he claimed that Robin was the lightning in a bottle. Spielberg never again directed Williams, but that was unnecessary. A single performance was sufficient, as certain acts reverberate. Even though Spielberg is very methodical and controlled, he let Robin be the one wild card in his picture. That's unusual, and it's why Spielberg often brings up Robin when he discusses the performers that had an impact on him. Not because he was the most skilled, but because he was the most vibrant. Favorites are never brought up by Spielberg. Moments are what he discusses. In a flash, delicate, irreplaceable. As rare as it is, it can take a lifetime to complete a single film. Whatever the case may be, the actors always offered him more than just acting. They showed him the way forward. He sensed anxiety in their quiet. Their breathing gave him a beat. Because of them, his stories were relatable, complicated, and painful. He aims for gravity rather than loudness when casting. Whoever handed it to him, though, he holds on tight. They may not have their names permanently inscribed on his credits, but they are woven into his storytelling, frame by frame. Which one do you like the most among the bunch? Leave a comment and tell me. If you want to see more behind-the-scenes studio footage, consider subscribing to the channel.